Hey everyone, it's the first Tuesday of the month here on RPG Elite, and for those of you who come back here regularly, you know what's up, and for those of you that don't, I'm about to tell you what's up. It's RPG Elite Philosophy for Life. So we did an entire series on RPG Elite Philosophy when it comes to tabletop RPGs. Well, now we're taking those same qualities that we covered in that series, which is, I think it's like 40 videos or something like that, maybe. It might be more than that. I don't know. Maybe it's less than that. It's like 20 videos. I'm not real sure. But there's a lot of videos in the first series. But I decided, there's something deeper here. And so we can take those same qualities and apply them to our lives. So that's what we are focusing on. First Tuesday of the month, every quality all over again, all 10 of them. And we are focused today on RPG Elite quality number 8. RPG Elite's focus on the story, not the system. Now, if you were here last month and you saw the video that I did then, it laid the foundation for what I'm going to cover in these next 3 videos. And so this quality has 5 videos when it's all said and done, God willing. So this is what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on one of those 3 elements I mentioned in the last video. And these elements are things that are uncomfortable. So I'm excited to get into this today. So much so that we're going to end this right now and just roll that transition. So the first thing that I want to define here is what I mean by story. Let's look at this definition. Your story is comprised of the elements in your existence that influence, whether by direct control, substantial interaction, or proximal experience. Now, in order for your story to have value, it needs certain elements. And of those elements are the 3 that I mentioned in the previous video. Now, if you haven't seen that video, again, you need to go back there and watch that video. But these 3 elements are 3 things that will add value. Now, notice how I said value, because that's what we're looking for. In my tagline that you guys have heard me say before, I talk about that what I focus on here on RPG Elite are things that are going to make your tabletop RPG experience more immersive, enjoyable, and meaningful. That last one is a new one, and that one is a very important one. Meaningful things add value. Meaningless things add vanity. And so even when it comes to our lives, we have a whole bunch of meaningless things that we have focused on thinking that they're meaningful. So we don't want to do that. But what I'm going to focus on today, this element, this is meaningful and can add value. But in a way, it depends. It actually is there to prompt you to level up your life so that you can add value. So let's get to the first of those 3 elements that can add value, even though they are extremely uncomfortable. Chaos. Now, what I mean by chaos in this context is probably what you mean by chaos in this context, but I love to define my terms. It's confusion. It is disorder and unpredictability. It is those often perplexing things and situations that happens in our lives that we have no direct control over. However, we do have a substantial interaction with, and we also have some kind of proximal experience with it. So that's in line with our definition of story. But when chaos gets thrown into the mix, since we have no direct control over it, and it's thrust upon us, Really, it's adversity thrust upon us. And when I talk about this, I'm not talking about things that happen in your life because of a decision that you made. You know, some people will be like, oh, my life is chaotic. And then you start talking to them and you find out that their life is chaotic because they made about a bunch of bad and stupid decisions. All right. That's not chaos. That's consequences. You should learn the difference. Chaos is something that you actually really had no control over at all. I mean, let's say you're playing a game like City of Mist. And since I'm bringing this game up, this is a foreshadowing of what is going to come on the channel later on. Anyway, let's say you're playing this and you have a group of you guys, your crew is walking down the street in the city, and all of a sudden something jumps out of you from a dark alley, and you didn't do anything. You were just walking to a destination. You guys had something else totally on your mind. Chaos. Chaos. All right. So how do we, living our stories, how do we deal with chaos? Well, I've broken it down. You can deal with it in one of four ways. The first way is that, well, you can ignore it. You can try to bury your head in the sand and just act like it's not there. But here's a problem with chaos if you try to do that. Chaos is not satisfied with being ignored. And what will happen is that there will be a snowball effect. It will burgeon. And when it does, it will burgeon into something that was quite different than what it was before and quite worse. So of all the ways that I described to you right now, ignoring it is the worst. Is the worst because even if you successfully ignore it, the chances are that chaos is going to catch up and it's going to come at you again. So ignoring it, it's a way you could deal with it. It's not a good way to deal with it. Another way that you could deal with chaos is you could obsess over it. All right, well, that's not good. I mean, another way of saying that is that you could worry about it. You could be anxious about it, but that still doesn't actually do anything to the chaos. The chaos is still there. Now, you might obsess over it. You might acknowledge its existence, so it's better than ignoring it. You acknowledge it exists, but you worry. Your mind is just fixated on this thing. And so what you normally do is you normally just worry, and in order to deal with the worry and the anxiety that comes with that, you get into other stuff. You overeat, you get addicted to things like video games, or you start focusing on your work a lot, or, you know, in the worst of circumstances, things like drugs. So worrying about it does nothing except something negative to you. It does not add any value. It is complete vanity. I like what Jesus said about this in the Gospel of Matthew. And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? He's telling you, it's a rhetorical question. This is totally meaningless to obsess and worry over stuff. Meaningless. I'm going to say that same verse in a different translation. Which of you, by worrying, can add 1 cubit to his stature? In both of these, it's saying the same exact thing. This is meaningless. And if it's meaningless, well, vanity of vanity, all is vanity. It's just vain. It does nothing to help the situation. It adds no value. Another thing you can do is just complain. Another way to look at this is you can cry victim. You can just develop a victim mentality. You can complain and you can whine and you can moan. Oh, woe is me. Life's not fair. I don't deserve this. I don't believe this is happening to me. You know, all of those things. And then the people that you used to hang around with, well, they don't come and hang around with you anymore. Yeah, it could be that these complaining stuff never does anything. It is the same. It does the same thing like worrying and ignoring does. Nothing. Because the chaos is still there. You can complain about the chaos all day. The chaos is still there. And it doesn't care about your complaining. Let me say that one again. Chaos doesn't care about your complaining. So Why do it? But there is one more way. And this way is the way, folks. This is the only way that's going to add value to your life. You can overcome and confront the chaos. Now, chaos has a way of coming in at different levels. I mean, you could have really bad chaos. You get a bad diagnosis from the doctor that's life-threatening and fatal. Okay, that's some high-level chaos there. High-level chaos. And so you have options. And your best options out of the 4 I just gave you is to confront, to try to overcome the chaos that's injected into your life. I like what Seneca said, the Stoic philosopher, Seneca the Younger. I like what he said about adversity. Again, chaos is adversity being thrust upon you. Listen to what he says. The good things that belong to prosperity are to be wished, but the good things that belong to adversity are to be admired. There are good things that come with overcoming and confronting chaos. Because when you do that, you level up. Isn't this the same thing that we do in tabletop RPGs? Is it not? When chaos is injected into tabletop RPG, okay, we go into, problem solving mode. Okay, how are we going to solve this problem? How are we going to overcome it? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? That's normally what everybody around the table starts doing. How is it that we do that in a tabletop RPG, but we won't do that with our own lives? There's something wrong with this picture. Come on, son. That makes no sense. This is the reason why many people would rather play a tabletop RPG than live their lives. But that's a completely different video. But again, should we not apply this very same principle to our lives? So when chaos is injected into our lives, all right, it's time to go into problem solving mode. How are we going to get over this? How are we going to overcome this? Well, what that takes is it takes a different kind of attitude. It takes a different kind of, here we go again, mindset. And so it means that you're going to have a little bit of dedication and perseverance, because sometimes chaos likes to stick around. It doesn't just disappear if you just confront it. It likes to stick around. So, all right, maybe I'm going to have to be in this for a minute. That means you need some perseverance. American psychologist, his name's Martin Seligman. Listen to what he says about perseverance that should encourage you. The optimistic individual perseveres. In the face of routine setbacks and even major failures, he persists. So it's not about just sitting back and waiting for stuff to happen. It's okay. I'm going to push through. We're going to make it through this. There's an old saying, this too shall pass. But in order to pass, in the meantime, between time, I'm going to push through. I'm just not going to sit here and be a victim. Oh, no. I'm going to do something about this. You shall not pass! With perseverance, you need a little bit of courage. Because as I said earlier, some of these chaotic moments are major. Now, these are things that can pull the rug out from under you in your life. But again, this is the only way really to deal with chaos in any kind of meaningful way that adds value. This is the only way, because all the other ways are just vanity, all of vanity. I like what J. Oswald Sanders said in his book, Spiritual Leadership, which I have, by the way. It's a great, fantastic book. I'll put it down as a link in the description. You really need to read that. if you're a Christian or not. It's just too many good things in that book, life-changing for me. But listen to what he says about courage. Courage is that quality of mind which enables men to encounter danger or difficulty with firmness or without fear of depression of spirits. The highest degree of courage is seen in the person who is the most fearful, but refuses to capitulate to it. That reminds me of a quote from Captain America. They were asking him, they were like, man, somebody was asking him, I forgot what it was. They were asking him, it's like, man, all you have is a shield, you know, and some athletic ability, you know, and some fighting ability. I mean, that's all that you have, but you're fighting monsters and aliens and forces of nature. I mean, don't you get scared? Cap's response was, yep, I do get scared. Many times I'm scared. I just don't let it dictate what I do. This is the same attitude we should have about chaos when it's thrust upon us in our lives. Because that's not the attitude we take when we're playing a tabletop RPG. We're going right towards it. So why don't we do that in our own lives? Yeah, it gets serious and it gets real. But this is RPG Elite philosophy for life. Translate that stuff and face it. And what you're going to find is that you will become a different person. And when you do, it's going to be somebody that is going to add value to somebody else's life because you overcame, you confronted, and you can also give them the hope and the encouragement to overcome and confront and help them. And folks, that is truly of high value. And some would say it's priceless. Well, I went on for a minute and waxed poetic on that one, but y'all, I'm telling you, I love these videos because I believe that these videos will help you. RPG Elite philosophy for life. If you got anything of value out of this video, there we go again, then go ahead and do it, brother solid. Could you please and just crush that like button. Also, if you want to stick around, I'll come out with videos on this day, Tuesdays, God willing, of course. But sometimes I come out with other videos or I do other things during the week. So you gotta know what's going on. And the only way for you to know what's going on is to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. All right, folks, you know what time it is now. Let's get to the question of the vid. How do you deal with chaos when it enters your life? Again, we all have to deal with it. And I want to know your normal response. Be honest. If you don't want to put your business out there, you don't have to put your business out there, but be honest about it. How do you normally deal with chaos? That thing that you can't control, that thing that has been thrust upon you, that perplexing, unpredictable, confusing disorder that you didn't have anything to do with. Well, how do you deal with that? Oh, it's about to get deep up in here. Let me know down in the comments below because that is what they are for. That'll be it for me, folks. I got to bounce on out of here. Thank you for indulging me. Let me do my snaggle puss.
So exit, stage left.
If you got a game going on this week, y'all, happy gaming. I pray it is an RPG Elite session. I also pray that your life is an RPG Elite session and that you can confront that chaos and that from it, there will be great value added to your lives and those who are around you. So until the next time, I got to go. So in the meantime, between time, watch this video. But until then, peace. 5,000 Leets. That's right. Your boy servant is outie.